WWE is teasing the return of Brock Lesnar, plus so much big news, a huge departure from AEW. We're going to talk about it all right here on The Angle Show. Welcome back to The Angle Show. Don't forget, we are live Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern every single day. Make sure you guys pull up. We talk about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, pay-per-views, fantasy booking. We're always engaging with the chat. It's always a fun time, so make sure you guys pull up and don't miss a show. All right, guys, we know that AJ Styles is injured. A lot of people have been wondering if it's a legitimate injury, what kind of injury it is. I talked about this briefly the other day, that it is, in fact, an injury. What was really interesting was the mixed reporting and the conflicting reports surrounding the injury. So I just want to let you guys know that AJ Styles did come out and reveal on social media that he has a Liz Frank injury. I actually looked it up, and this is really crazy because a lot of people in professional sports who get this injury end up having season-ending surgery. So this is a pretty significant injury. The original plan was for AJ Styles to do like a farewell retirement tour type of thing. Obviously, that's why they were going to have him go babyface. He did reveal on Twitter that he is cooked, as the kids would say. So listen, as far as AJ Styles goes, I'm going to just make it very clear. I want him to come back healthy, come back good, and hopefully we still get that farewell tour or whatever it may be. I'm going to assume that AJ Styles doesn't have that much left in the tank for his career. Obviously, longtime veteran. So I do want him to come back. I want him to be healthy. Hopefully we get it. But I would say it's going to be a while till we see AJ Styles. If possible, it would be incredible to see him come back by next year's SummerSlam. We know that John Cena is going to be doing his own farewell tour. I would love for them to mix it up, but we'll see what ends up happening. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for AJ Styles. Let's talk about MCMG. On SmackDown this past week, there's been some teases. We know that MCMG is scheduled to debut in Brooklyn this Friday for WWE SmackDown, and it looks like they will be making their debut against Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. This is going to be absolutely fire. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but even on WWE Raw this past week, they are finally starting to book some tag team matches and some tag team storylines. WWE Raw just announced a Raw Tag Team Championship tournament. We're going to see AOP, and we're going to see obviously other tag teams involved, which is exciting. American Made, Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio. There's obviously another emphasis on tag team wrestling again in WWE, but it's important that WWE actually focuses on this long term. I think for WWE, it's incredibly important that if you are going to sign MCMG, if you're going to sign the Lucha Bros, if you're going to bring in big name tag teams, you can't just bring them in and have them do nothing, right? We saw GOD come in, they're the tag team champions on SmackDown, but we're not seeing centralized feuds for those tag team titles. That's what I want to see. I feel like WWE needs to get better with this area. I think this is the one thing that's kind of been missing from their programming. I understand both shows are 2 hours long, but if I'm the WWE, I think it's incredibly important to ensure that tag team wrestling is being consistently booked, especially because of how great Motor City Machine Guns actually are. It's really important that WWE figures it out. Also, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin being on SmackDown, there's a plethora of matches they can have. But it's not about the matches, guys. It's about the storylines. And I think if you're the WWE, you do need to have tag team championships on a pay-per-view. And WWE is doing these 5 match card pay-per-views, which makes it incredibly difficult for them to fit in the tag team championship belts, especially for both brands. So if I'm the WWE and, we're building towards Saturday night main event, like, this is a money match. GOD versus Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Like, that should be a primary focus. Saturday night's main event is being treated as a PLE. It's taking place in December. We have quite enough time to build to it. So if I'm the WWE, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. I hope they do. I can only imagine the great response from fans, but it's all entirely up to Triple H. This past weekend, it was mentioned that Jimmy Jacobs had left AEW. Now he is appearing on indie wrestling. He was at XICW Detroit, which is he's going to be at XICW Detroit, which obviously it's one of the bigger indies in the Metro Detroit area. But basically, Jimmy Jacobs was Tony Khan's right-hand man in creative. Fightful had reported that he resigned over the past week because he had been burned out lately. I think this is fantastic news. I talked about it when Jimmy Jacobs left TNA. Jimmy Jacobs left TNA, and all of a sudden, creative got even more better. And this is not a personal knock towards Jimmy Jacobs, but Jimmy Jacobs being Tony Khan's second-hand man is like, that's a problem. That's very problematic for Tony Khan. It's a problem for AEW. Hopefully AEW figures it out, because at the end of the day, for Tony Khan, you know, it's you need help, and he got help, right? Like, that is one thing. Like, he got help that he needed. But at the same time, too, he also had the wrong people there. And I do think Jimmy Jacobs was the wrong person. If you look at TNA's creative when Jimmy Jacobs was there, if you look at when he was in WWE, you know, it's very telling that Jimmy Jacobs, he was bringing the stink to AEW. So listen, Tony Khan made the decision. He made the decision. He's gone. He's done with AEW. Now he's back in the Indies. He obviously wrestled for ROH. I don't know if this guy will be anywhere near the WWE again. I don't know if he'll be anywhere near TNA, but what I do know is that Jimmy Jacobs, as far as being employed by the top 2 wrestling companies, it doesn't seem very likely he'll be back in those companies. I don't know if this means NWA will try to bring him in. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if maybe MLW or whatever it may be. I don't know if Jimmy Jacobs wants to wrestle again, but he got fired from WWE back in the day. Then, you know, obviously he left TNA to go to AEW. Things didn't work out. AEW's creative has definitely been a major stink. It's been rumored that Jimmy Jacobs was running the Learning Tree gimmick. So Jimmy Jacobs being away from AEW is probably going to be a big positive for the company, and that's exactly what they need. And that brings us to our final topic. On WWE Raw, they're teasing the return of Brock Lesnar. 2 different promos. Guys, it's very clear that WWE is purposely mentioning this. And I don't know if WWE is just trying to get feelers for this, but it looks like WWE could very well be bringing back Brock Lesnar. Now, you might be wondering, how did I come to this conclusion? Well, WWE and Triple H have never spoken publicly about Brock Lesnar. Now, a lot of fans on social media allege that Brock Lesnar is listed in the lawsuit with Janelle Grant, and honestly, I have no idea if that is actually true. I think some people just looked at it because it said former UFC star. I don't know. I don't know if Brock Lesnar was ever involved. I'm not going to sit here and act like I do know. As far as that goes, WWE has never publicly commented on it. Whenever they talked about Brock Lesnar returning to television, Triple H has always kind of been adamant that Brock Lesnar does what he wants when he wants. Now, as far as Brock Lesnar goes, I feel like we already have the next Brock Lesnar here, right? We have these new emerging stars. So for me personally, regardless of the lawsuit, I just think WWE already has such a great stacked roster. I don't know if Brock Lesnar is necessarily needed. Cody Rhodes teasing it. It's an interesting choice. And Seth Rollins, obviously, you know, guys, to me, if WWE is bringing back Brock Lesnar, they're going to have to be very careful here. But whatever happens, happens. It sounds like he could very well be on his way back. And how would they do it? Probably the Royal Rumble, because that's how WWE typically does things. I'll let you guys know as time goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Ango Show.